toxins, it affects everybody.
Okay.
Not necessarily, I mean, maybe you are small or old.
Okay.
Majorly children that have not taken any form of vaccine.
Okay.
Like we have DPT vaccines, diphtheria, pertussis, and tetanus vaccine.
Okay.
And adults too that has not received any form of vaccine.
Okay.
That is, primarily, that is what diphtheria is.
Okay, what's the nature of this disease?
Okay. It causes, let me say, runny nose, sore throats, cough, fever, red eyes. And at the severe level, the neck of such individual will be swollen. And when you look at the throats of the person, you will see like a white patches on the throat side of the person or the tonsils. That is when you will notice that this person is having diphtheria. But it will first start with fever, normal fever. Sore throats. I mean, at times, rashes on the skin of the person.
Okay, so now we know that when we say someone has bronchitis, we know the person is struggling with, breath and all of that. This particular one, diphtheria, what does it do to the person? We know that all the symptoms, become manifest when the person has diphtheria. But what does it really do to the body?
Okay, when the person is infected with that bacteria, it will now lead to the person having difficulty in breathing.
As well?
As well. The person may not be able to breathe properly, but that will come at the later stage, maybe when the sickness has gotten severe. So the person may not be able to breathe properly. And at that point, even before you get to that point, we are admonishing every individual to quickly seek help. That is why we are here today, to tell people seek help. Go to nearest health facility to seek help. Tell them your signs and symptoms, what you are feeling, and before you know it, they will take appropriate measure.
Okay. Now, that being said, what causes diphtheria? Because it's just all of a sudden we started hearing about diphtheria. We know one time it came and it died down. Nobody heard about it again. What really causes this illness?
Like I've said earlier, it is a bacterial infection. It is a bacteria that causes it. But it's predominant in an area where we have overcrowding.
Okay.
Yeah, where there is crowding in a certain place. Then when people are not practicing hygiene, or when an individual person that is infected with that bacteria now, maybe the person that is not infected now have contact with such individual that has been infected, and maybe with his droplet, maybe sneezing, coughing, or the clothing.
So it's easy airborne.
Not really, not necessarily airborne, but maybe there is a droplet. Now I sneeze on this surface now, it is not being cleaned, and when an individual now, maybe that person is having that bacterial infection now, have sneezed on the table, and another person that is not infected at all and has not been vaccinated, quote and unquote, and doesn't have that immunity to cover him or her, now maybe place his or her hand on that surfaces or on the clothings of such individual, with that you can contact it. Remember, like an individual, there is tendency of us, you just touch something and you are touching your nostril, your mouth, you are taking food, you've not washed your hand properly. So with that, you can easily get.
So secretions are the major secretions, like saliva, right? Sweat.
Yes, but when an individual now gets in contact
with that person that is affected.
Yes.
Now, how long does it take for the symptoms of diphtheria to manifest?
To manifest is between 2 to 10 days. That is the incubation period.
Okay.
Within 2 to 10 days, the person will have come down with
diphtheria.
Yes.
So what are the major symptoms? I know you've said a few of them, fever and all of that. What are the major symptoms for someone that has diphtheria when you have been exposed? Because there's somebody that already has, the disease and all of that.
Okay.
What are the symptoms when you are being exposed?
Okay, like I've mentioned earlier, we have fever. The fever is not just ordinary fever. When we're talking about fever, that is, the temperature is above 37 degrees centigrade. The person is having runny nose. There is sore throats. difficult in breathing at the severe stage, you know, and the individual, you will see like white patches at the throat, on the tonsils and at the back of the throat, the neck swelling.
Okay.
So at that point, you know that, oh,
you are dealing with tonsils.
yes.
You want to say something to us, Mrs. Mary?
No, actually, she has said it all.
She has said it all. Okay. Now, we know that a lot of people might not know how serious. We want to know the severity of diphtheria.
Okay.
How serious is this? You know, when people hear, probably before now, when people hear HIV and AIDS, they are always running. Because they know when they hear hepatitis B, they know is that serious? It's something that can, you know, take effect. So, how serious is diphtheria?
It's as serious as when we have COVID-19.
Okay, so the casualty rate is quite up there.
It's high, majorly if the person has not been in an unvaccinated area. It is a preventable disease. Do you understand my point?
It's preventable.
Yeah, it's preventable. That is why we have vaccine for it.
Okay.
At 6 weeks, 10 weeks, and 14 weeks, we have children that we go for vaccination. After their BCG, they go for DPT. It is called pentavalent vaccine. And when they receive that vaccine, it is, let me say, it will be able to protect them. Even if they have contact with an individual that has such diseases, they will not be able to come down with it. Nevertheless, that doesn't mean that if the immunity is not high or the immunity is being compromised or you are in an area where there is prevalence of this diphtheria. That is why when it happened in FCT, after our press briefing that was organized in public health departments, we quickly swing into action. We deploy vaccine to those assets where we have the outbreak, where people are coming down with such. We have suspected cases. So we quickly deploy vaccine to those places so that people affected or within that age range will be able to be vaccinated. Then it's not only them alone, even the healthcare workers at that point, at that area too, that are attending to them. Though there are high level of, there should be high level of suspicion by the health worker, but nevertheless, in an outbreak like that, health workers too have been vaccinated. And then, majorly people, even an adult.
So, somebody like me now, do I have access to this vaccine?
Not necessarily. I wouldn't say yes, because it's majorly when you are in that access where there is an outbreak. There is, yes,
but
we
how
don't
do you
have mass
even
vaccine.
know?